Oh snap! For season football is back, baby. With Nate and Corey. Two men who will slap box you with enough shots.
What up? How we doing? Welcome to episode 3. I guess AI voice will say shuts and not shots. That's fine. You can't have.
Just had a few shots.
Yeah, a few shots. It's fine. It's fine. You know, it's fine. Nobody cares. It's fine. It's fine. It's all fine. Everything's fine. It's fine.
Welcome to week 3.
Yeah, we're on episode 3, and I just keep expecting it to not happen, but we just keep doing it. You know, we just keep doing it.
We haven't given up yet.
I'm impressed with that, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I think after week 1, there's still a question mark.
Yeah,
but, I mean, we got the second one in. Now it's just habit.
Yeah, now it's just a pattern. Nothing. Now we're just slaves to it. Nothing we can do. It's done. Yeah. Hi, I'm Corey. That's Nate. Welcome to Four Seasons Football, podcast about football all year round. We start off with we're on the UFL season, so we'll be doing a lot of UFL stuff, which is super nice. But you know, when it transitions over to actual football, we will do actual football. Not that this isn't actual football. I didn't mean to say it like that. Don't come at me.
It's just spring football.
There you go. See, that's what I should have said. Spring football, baby. Yeah. And yeah, spring football is pretty good. Did you we want to do news first, I guess? I have that like popped in as news, I guess.
Yeah, might as well jump into the news for what there is. Really, the only big story is not a great one for the player or the UFL for getting the attention, but destroying Donald De La Haye, placed on a IR. Did you watch the tackle he made on that kick return?
I sure did.
I mean, it was a good hit, but anybody who's played any football, he just lowered his head and dove head, like top of the head, crown of the head first.
Well, it's really hard for me.
Williams' gut.
Yeah, 100%. And it's hard for me to give them the benefit of the doubt anymore. Like when we were kids and they first started adding some of these rules, it was really hard for me to get on board with some of them because it's like, you know, your whole life you go through all the different levels of football as a kid, high school and all that, and you're taught a certain way to tackle. But at this point now, they've all been taught the right way to tackle. There's really no excuse for that.
No. I mean, everybody even back when we were playing, they told us not to spear people on either side of the ball.
I mean, but we still did. We were just more subtle about it.
Well, yeah, because it worked. But we were lucky to get out without doing what he did. So, yeah, out. He's on IR, so out at least 5 weeks. But I mean, he did some significant damage to his spine. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see if he comes back from that. I mean, that's a rough one. It's
at least for this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's rough, you know, like it's pretty tough. You know, and I don't know that there was a lot more news. I mean, I guess like the one thing, and we'll talk to it when we go into the game review, is that Bates guy on Michigan. Yeah. Became only the second person ever in any football, including the NFL, to make back-to-back 60-plus yard field goals. And
yeah, he is 100% from beyond 60.
And if he does one this upcoming week, he will be the first person in history to do that in any football league.
Which would be phenomenal, but my one fear is that then an NFL team calls and goes, hey, stop kicking. You're on our team. No more UFL for you. At the same time, what are they going to do? Hurt himself? Well, I
think it's not a kicker, but this is actually one of the things that is interesting and kind of a concern with the spring leagues anyways. And it would be really interesting as this league does seem to be catching on. The thing that's really crazy about it is like, you know, it's going to be like college where like every year you come back and it's just a completely new roster because the people that are succeeding are going to be called up.
Yep. Well, and like as far as team success, that's going to start pointing to those coaching staffs that can make it work with whatever personnel are available.
Mm-hmm. And that's
there's also a whole bunch of those journeyman players, Luis Perez, for instance, who have been playing spring football and only spring football for their entire playing career.
Right. But it's like, it's interesting. I mean, it'll be interesting to watch going forward what happens with all that, you know, and obviously these coaches and stuff, they should be good at like restocking and stuff, you know?
Yeah. And there's also the reverse where guys who are playing in the NFL got drafted, but just didn't quite shake out, or their squad had a few too many players at their position. are dropping into the UFL for a season or two and then bouncing back up, or there should be an exchange.
Also, there's some discrepancy on all the UFL stat things that I saw, whether or not Bates's kick was 62 yards or 63 yards, which I just think is hilarious.
Huh.
So
I think I had it marked down as a 62-yarder from watching the game itself, but I guess I could have updated that.
Yeah, well, I think like the UFL is kind of trying to put a little juice on it. You know what I mean? Trying to be like, it's 63, 62 and a half. We'll round up type shit,
He's getting a lot of attention. Let's spice this up as much as we can.
Mm-hmm. And then if you're a real big nerd, the NFL guy, Brett Maher, is the guy that did the back-to-back 60-yard pluses the one time it's ever been done.
Dang.
But there's
Do you know what the two were?
I don't, but I know it was like 70s, I want to say. I mean, it's been a while. But the really interesting thing is that, like, he's going to be in the NFL for sure. But more importantly, and I wanted to get your take on this, like, the Lions could use a better kicker. I'm just saying, he's already playing in that stadium.
Yeah, well, and, like, even after week 1, there were stories mentioning that specifically the Lions had reached out.
Yeah, I mean, he's a hometown hero already. They don't even have that number. I went and looked at the Lions. Nobody's even wearing his number on their roster either.
It'll be, I mean, if his success continues, like even if he doesn't kick a long one for the rest of the season, if he just kicks like 75% from 40 plus for the rest of the season, I can't help but think that's enough.
Yeah, I mean, I would think as long as he doesn't have any kind of meltdown, even just what he's done so far is enough, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know. I think it's going to happen. Like I think it's just.
Well, I think what he's done so far is absolutely enough to get him a shot in an NFL team camp.
Sure.
But not guarantee him a starting spot. Whereas if he goes the rest of the year, kicks 10 more field goals successfully, and is at 75%, 80% total, I think he's making it.
And the thing that was really fun to watch this week with that was like right before he kicked it. And this is one of the things I love about the UFL. And we'll get into this a little bit with one of the games, specifically the Brahmas. I love having the coaches mic'd up in the way they do. Like I really enjoy the extra coverage of hearing them have conversations and shit. Cause hearing the coach go, "Hey Jake, you want to do it? You want to try it?" Like, you know what I mean? Like he's like, "Fucking do it, dude. Let's see what happens." I love that shit.
Heck yeah. Although I'm just thinking about, what was it? Showboat's coach just going off.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
I
can't change his mind like that.
Oh yeah, we'll get. I mean, that was the Brahmas game, and that was fucking amazing. Like that was great. The walkie-talkie shit on that, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that one. We'll get to a play-by-play review on all of them. Do you have anything else you want to add about like? So what was your overall just like instincts about like this week? Did you have fun? Did you find that the product was better, worse, or the same as week 1?
I mean, I think the offenses are getting a little bit more in rhythm, but also we had some great games this week.
Right. So a little bit better, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so let's go over and we'll go into the thing. Do you want to do like game by game review first, or do you want to do the ratings? And because I can run through the ratings real quick, and then we can go through the game by game stuff breakdowns.
Go ahead and hit those ratings.
All right, so I found the place that I found the ratings at last week actually is updating them again this week. So as long as they keep doing that, I'll have this. I don't know that I will always have time to like scour the internet like I did week 1, but the place that I found, I set a bookmark and they're doing it, so I've got them right. So week 2 ratings, right? This is ratings and attendance. We'll do ratings first, okay? So, and this is all according to the Nielsen rating system, which who the fuck knows? The important thing to remember about these rating systems too that I didn't know. Did you know Nielsen ratings doesn't include anything streaming?
Yeah, because they don't have any reliable way, and those companies keep their money.
But think about how everybody's injecting sports now, anyways. Like, and you're telling me like Fox Plus, ESPN Plus, like that's not going to be a pretty significant cut of the viewership pie.
It is, but unfortunately, private companies, they just don't want to share that.
So here's what they had according to that. So we'll start with the Brahmas Showboat game, okay?
Yeah.
So the Brahmas Showboat game had 718,000 on ESPN, right? Last year at the same time, the XFL had 868,000 viewers for the Battlehawks Vipers. So it's a little bit down from that, right? But the thing to remember that's really impressive about this, and I was really impressed when I looked at these numbers, because like you want it to trend right around going up towards 1 million. Anything over 500,000 up is still pretty good, right? And even though it's down, you have to remember a few things. One, the Viper or the Battlehawks that's the biggest fan base in the XFL. It might still be in this league too. It's either them or like we don't know yet, but it might still be them, right? Like I mean, their fan base is crazy, right?
Pretty sure it is, yeah.
Yeah, but so like even though it's down from the XFL numbers, the XFL game on this thing, they didn't have they weren't going head to head with WrestleMania, right? You still have baseball that was still opening up, and NHL playoffs are going on. NBA games have that, you know? And so with streaming not being included, I think those are
NCAA tournament.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, the tournament was going up against the other game, but yeah, we'll get to that in a second, right? Because the other ones, the next one is unbelievable. So, okay, so the big thing is, again, with streaming not included and going up against all these different events, to get 718,000 viewers on ESPN, that's pretty fucking good. That's not a mainstream network. You're up against almost everything. And the game Brahmas and the Showboats, like the Brahmas have an okay fan base. The Showboats are a new team that have an existing fan base, but who knows how they travel and all this. Very, very interesting to me, right?
Yep.
Okay, so now this is fucking insane. So then you had St. Louis versus Arlington. And St. Louis, again, they are obviously cause the law, big Battlehawks fan. You know that. You like the Battlehawks too.
Shit, yeah.
This is crazy. This game went up against everything. Like WrestleMania was in its thing. You still had the tournament. This was prime time on ABC. And this got 908,000 people watching.
Nice.
Which is unreal. I mean, that is like, if those other sporting events aren't going on, I guarantee you this would have got to that million number. You know, that's just what it was. And, you know, again, St. Louis
looks like a competitor for other things that are going to be on.
Correct. And the fact that it was competing and it was on ABC, like that's crazy, right? So now here is this one is absolute. So then we go on to Sunday, okay? And this is the Stallions versus the Panthers, okay? And this is interesting because I don't really know much about the USFL's viewership. I don't really know much. Like, I know a lot of the metrics from the XFL because I followed it last year. I didn't really follow the USFL last year. We talk about that a bunch. Like, I love spring football. I love that it's one league because I just can't follow two leagues, especially like once the draft rolls around for football. Like, I'm in NFL mode, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, the big thing that's crazy is that the Stallions and Panthers, they had 903,000, right? That's the early game, right?
Yeah.
And the craziest thing about this is that like every game came down. So when they were unopposed during Sunday afternoon, 900,000. And I think that, again, that's closer to that million mark. The million mark is where it should be, right? And for two teams,
absolutely.
Right. And for two teams that don't really have, and I'm not trying to shit on their fan bases. If you like the Stallions or you like the Panthers, I'm not shitting on your fan base. I'm saying I don't have established metrics on their fan base, so I can't tell you what it is. And when we talk about attendance, we'll get into why this is a concern for me, but it's fine, right? But like having all four games come down to the final minute does nothing but help. I mean, that's awesome. That's great for the league. We love that, right? But now this is the one that's unreal, okay? The Roughnecks and the DC Defenders, okay? So this was literally head to head against the women's finals. Like it was up against it, right?
Dang.
And the women's finals got 18.7 million viewers. That was their viewership. 18.7 million, right?
Yeah, which good for them.
Yeah, great. The UFL on Fox got 849,000 viewers. That's fucking insane.
Nice.
And last year, the game at the same spot got around 1 million, but it wasn't up against the finals like that, right? And so even though the numbers dipped isolated like here to here, it's actually going up consistently from week one, which is crazy. But again, to get over 800,000 viewers on Fox up against the finals of the women's final, like NCAA finals, is unreal. That is unreal. And you were also still going up against WrestleMania.
Well, and this women's championship has been hyped up like crazy because of Clark.
Right, exactly. Right. You have maybe the most popular like NCAA finals ever for women.
Yeah.
Unreal, right? And so again, just doing that, like the Sunday morning game did a little bit better, but the same. Everything's kind of trending up with the even game was more than last week on Easter though. And that's the thing that's really cool to think about is that even though these numbers are down from last year, these games are all slightly up from last week. Now the Sunday day game was a little bit down, but you also had, I think, like the battle, like you had established people there, right? And it's, again, these viewership, like you're getting close to 1 million without Fox or ESPN Plus's streaming engines being involved at all. So I guarantee you they probably all cracked over 1 million.
Yeah, I mean, if you include streaming services and pirates, absolutely.
Okay. So that's ratings, and that's cool because that's showing a trend upward and a consistent trend where a lot of people on board. And I really think spring football's here to stay.
I hope it is, and I hope these numbers keep trending up, and that people are watching, and that advertisers see it. Just I want spring football around.
Yeah, it's fun. Okay. So here's the other stuff that we'll do, and this is the conversation I want to have with you because this is interesting. Okay, so we're gonna move on to attendance. Okay. So we have in attendance, right, at the Memphis Showboats game, we had 8,791 people. Right, that's kind of dog shit. That's not a good attendance, right?
No.
And it again, it's not necessarily the best matchups. I mean, it's like, who knows what because they're playing, I think, the Brahmas, like, who knows what their actual fan base is yet, Yeah. But they're not gonna really travel, right? Then you look at attendance wise, you look at right underneath it, right? And you have the St. Louis Battlehawks, who's had 40,317 people in attendance. And that is a modern record for spring, right? For spring football. That is the highest attended spring football game that's ever happened. And the last three were all also the Battlehawks, and they all significantly were getting bigger as the years out. So I fully envision St. Louis to crush this before the end, especially with the finals being in St. Louis. I fully expect them to crush this number before it's like they will be to capacity at least one game this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, and so long as they stay competitive, which I can't help but think they're going to, this should keep building, because that's a fan base it's grown organically. Like, there's not a ton of advertising out there. It's not like fans out there from other sports are being bombarded by the suggestion to go see UFL football. That's a fan base that wants to go watch football, period.
Right. And then and they also they pride themselves on having a little bit of a grudge with Kansas City. So I think the fact that the Chiefs are so good right now also plays into that, because it's a really fun troll move to be like, oh, we're the best team in Missouri or whatever, like, it's fun, right?
Yeah, if they can beat KC attendance, that would be really fun to
it'd be amazing. I mean, and cause a lot, like, these people are rabid fans. I mean, you see it everywhere. It's amazing, right? And so the fact that they broke this record on week 2 of the UFL, and this is interesting because the Battlehawks have always been the premier fan base of the XFL. When they were talking about folding the two teams in, they were talking about who they would get rid of. The DC Defenders and the Battlehawks were the two teams that they're like, well, they're in, And then they kept all the Texas teams because Texas is probably a little easier to work with for them,
Yeah, I'm just bigger football scene across the board.
Yeah, but the premier, St. Louis just being St. Louis is fucking amazing. And watching them, I mean, again, this is their first game here. Word of mouth as the UFL keeps going, it's only going to grow, hopefully. So I fully expect that number to be crushed by the end of the year, multiple times. I expect that number to be beat 3 or 4 times. I don't know what that stadium holds, but I really suspect, especially around the finals, if it catches on and all the games remain good like it was this week, I fully expect them to just fucking crush.
Absolutely. Well, and fingers crossed, they're in the championship game. I can't imagine
holy fuck, dude,
the numbers they're going to put up.
Oh, yeah, dude. I can't even imagine. Yeah.
What's the capacity?
Yeah. Oh, unreal. I mean, there'll be people in the park. I mean, that would be chaos. And so then we go over to Michigan, right? And Michigan had 7,475 in attendance, the worst of the week, right? Pretty bad. Right. And then we go to DC, right? And DC had 15,052. And that is about their average level. Like that number is about what they averaged last year. And the thing about the Defenders is they're still undefeated at home. So as long as that remains, and they have the Beer Snake. I mean, they have a very loyal fan base. It's a little bit smaller than the Battlehawks, but they're there, But
and I got no idea on the stadium and capacity or
correct,
how much they were.
Right. I don't have any data on any of that either. Right. But so
that's another one where it's probably just a great time to go see a Defenders game.
So here's the thing that I wanted to talk about with all this, right? Based on the numbers last week and the numbers here this week, right? The attendance is looking really bad for the USFL. Every week the XFL home team has a decent attendance, except for Arlington. But Arlington had it. It was the other one. But the attendance is looking really bad for the USFL. And I don't really have a lot of data on that. What's really interesting is this week we have a home game in Birmingham, so I'll be really interested to see what those numbers look like.
Yeah, because I'm just looking at the schedule. We had a Michigan home game, not great. A Roughnecks home game, not great. The Showboats home game, which I kind of would have expected better. Another Panthers home game, which really doesn't look good. And that's it for the USFL. So,
right.
I think the Stallions home game is going to tell us a lot. I can't help but think that
But it's
fan
just
base is going to be a little bit more active than the rest of the UFSL.
it's just a really big
Good.
problem for the league, and I don't know what we do to like address it. You know what I mean? Because like you look at the way that the attendance has worked out. I mean, like yeah, everybody wants to like myself. I do this too. Everybody wants there to be this rivalry between the XFL and the USL, but it's just like that's not what it is anymore. It's one league now, so they have to figure out these numbers quick because like, are they bad venues? Right? Like, are they just like their markets aren't catching on? Like, who knows? But there's a clear attendance problem with the USFL teams. Again, I'm really interested to see what Birmingham does because Birmingham they have the biggest following of the USFL. You know, like they were the big premier team of that league.
Yeah, and have been for two plus years.
Right.
Well,
So
2
it's
years.
interesting to see what that would look like in a situation where, you know, that's what it is or whatever, right? Because right now it does not look good for the USFL teams at all.
Yeah. Well, and I
And-
think I already noticed a couple of mentions of I think Memphis doing $10 tickets, somebody else doing buy one get one. I'm all for it. If if the viewership's going to be 7,000-8,000,
It just
might as
doesn't
well
look.
do anything you can to
Yeah.
get butts in the seats.
Well, and especially like you look at it, so like okay, you look at like the Michigan game, you had 7,475 in attendance, right?
Yeah.
But then like you look at that on the ratings thing, and where's it? Like they had 903,000 people watching. You know what I mean? So like you have to like optically, you know, you and I were talking about like they need to get a banner or something so it like doesn't look as like bad as it is or something. Like they have to figure out a way to solve this.
In Ford Field, it's so bad with that giant stadium,
right,
and 7,500 people in it.
Right. And this was something that happened last year. I watched with the Vipers, like the Vegas Vipers, like stadium was trash. And then the markets didn't catch on. It happened with the Orlando team too. Like the Guardians, like it was like if the teams start to lose and the attendance is shit, people will just check out.
Yeah.
They just will.
Well, I'm not against some of the circus shows that like minor league baseball does. I mean, the Beer Snake is totally fan driven, but it's still
The beer
An
snake's
entertaining
the
gimmick
beer
to
snake's
draw people
amazing. The beer snake is so great.
I would have no problem with these teams getting a crazy mascot and starting goofy games in the stands, like whatever you can to make the game a spectacle and entertaining to go to
Right.
outside of just a football play.
Well, I might actually go to the Battlehawks game on Sunday.
Awesome. And yeah,
They're playing in Birmingham, and the
Probably-
upper deck, dude. The upper deck seat tickets are $15.
they're in San Antonio, right?
Yeah, and that's like an hour and a half from my house.
Nice. And yeah, Brahmas are kind of becoming my second team.
Well, they kind of always were for me too, because I went and saw 2 games last year with them, because I went and saw the Battlehawks last year there too. So they've always
Yeah.
kind of been my second team, anyways. Because like one, they're the one I can drive to. You know what I mean? And they're fun. They're
Yeah.
really fun to watch this year. Like they're really fun to watch since Wade Phillips got there. They were not this fun to
They've
watch
been
last year.
entertaining as hell.
Entertaining as hell. All right. So that's like, what is your thoughts about this whole like attendance thing though? I mean, is that like, do you think it's something they're just going to have to battle through, or do you think it's just like bodes worse, or we just have to wait till we see the Brahmas play, or the Stallions
It's
play?
not a good sign overall.
Yeah.
I mean, St. Louis is blowing it out of the park. And
Yeah.
that's just guaranteed money coming in for the league on both ends. But across the board, outside of them and DC to an extent, kind of feel like they should be making an effort in some way to get butts in those seats.
Well, it just looks so bad when like you're watching there's 4 games on a weekend, right? And you watch one of them, like especially like this weekend, because DC looked packed. Because they put the people in the lower deck, so even if it's not filling up the stadium, it looks full. You know what I mean? So you have like DC's packed, and fucking like St. Louis, they had upper deck tickets and people were up in there. You know what I mean? It was packed, and then they cut over to like fucking Memphis, and it looks like a high school game. You know, it looks like a high school game being played on a fucking pros field. You know, and don't even get me started about the Panthers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the games real quick, because I just think that that's the thing that I see though a lot around the internet is just people really like laughing and making fun of how like the USFL attended, but it's one league, man. It has to come together as one product. There is no, they're the conference names now, but there is no rivalry there. One guy does well, they all do well, you know?
Yep. And if anybody's doing terrible, it doesn't look good for all of them.
Correct. Right. Okay. So let's get into the games and go. I wanted to go. I mean, we talked a little bit about them, but I wanted to go a breakdown by breakdown thing, right?
Yeah.
So let's do the Battlehawks game first. Because that's what I have in my notes first.
Works for me.
Cause the law.
Caca!
what is it? Marcel Aikman is fucking insanely good.
Yeah, he's tall
He's so
and fast
fucking
and
good.
just has a nose for the end zone.
Dude, it's unreal how good. And like he had this one where he's like, just like they had him and he's rolling around. I mean, like it's so cool. Like I know that a lot of these guys aren't NFL ready, but they are so far above college talent that it looks like almost NFL caliber. You know, it reminds me of the CFL when you have two CFL teams that are good almost, but it's almost better than that. But this guy is so good, and he just goes to the end zone, and he's the first wide receiver to record 2 touchdowns in the same game in the UFL so far. And that's a cool thing as we go forward because everything's going to be a fucking record. You know what I mean? Because there's just not a lot of records going around yet.
Right. Every time somebody does something for the first time this year, it's the first time ever for the league.
Right. And it's unreal. I mean, it was just so crazy. And he right now, I mean, it's just unreal. I mean, he has for the season so far, he's the number 1 wide receiver, right? And he has what is it? He has his average per game is 87 yards, which is pretty fucking good in this league. But he's got 174 yards already. His average per completion is 17 yards, and he has 3 touchdowns in 2 games.
Yep, 10 of 13 receiving.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a monster, and that's with Darius Shepard on the same team with 14 of 20.
Correct.
It's not like McCarron is only throwing to him.
Right.
He's just killing those big plays.
Well, I think McCarron, honestly, McCarron is still the leader in the league, but he actually looks kind of not the best. He's good, but he doesn't look like hands down the best quarterback like he has in years past. That guy on the Brahmas, that Garbers guy looks awesome. Perez looks awesome with the Renegades. And they all have, even though their numbers are a little bit lower than him, they all have higher completion percentage because McCarron's completion percentage is only 65%.
Yeah.
But he just takes over. He just takes over games when it matters.
Yeah, other quarterbacks have definitely performed, but it's volume. Battlehawks are throwing the ball.
Yeah.
They've got great receivers. Yeah.
Well, and that's, again, we go back to my favorite thing. One of my favorite things ever is McCarron mic'd up. Listening to McCarron bitch and moan about shit is my favorite thing ever. Week 1 was put me in this and that, and he's bitching about something, and then the next play gets a touchdown. I fucking love that shit.
Yep, they should mic everybody up.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's so much fucking fun. So, what were your takeaways from the games? What did you like? What stood out to you?
So, overall, it was a great game, but I
knew there's a butt coming. You went, it's a good game, and then there's a huge pause. I'm like, there's a butt coming.
Absolutely. So, what was it? Third quarter. Let's see. 3rd and 9 from the 20. Renegades have the ball. Pass into the end zone. Refs call pass interference on the defense, which basically just gives them a touchdown.
Just straight gifting, bro. Straight gifting.
They watch the replay. They're in the booth. They're talking about it. It's like, oh, that was obviously offensive pass interference. That was not defensive pass interference. Which I understand bad calls happen, and I don't think there was a challenge available. But earlier in the game, there was a pass to the outside behind the line of scrimmage, which was initially ruled a fumble, and then they went back and reversed it, called it no, it was a forward pass, it was just an incomplete. If they can go back and check that and change the call.
Dude, I'm telling you, dude. You know what? I blame you, dude. I really do. I honestly, I meant to pick a bone with you about this shit. I blame you for this. Yeah. Because if how you thought the challenge flag worked is how it worked, it would have been fucking perfect. They need to listen to you. Hey, UFL, listen to this fucking podcast and fix your fucking game. Because if they can just fucking call anything they want until they're wrong, that's perfect. Perfect.
Right.
Because the idea that you don't have another challenge flag, right? You don't have another challenge flag because you called them out on their bullshit and you were right. That's fucked.
Yeah. Well, and I think they even mentioned had it been a little bit later, closer to the end of the half, then that would have been reversible. But because it was in the third quarter, they couldn't do it. If you're going to have this level of transparency and let everybody see your decision-making process and everything, you need to be able to change that incorrect call.
Correct. Right. And I think that's
the whole point of this, right?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I think that was one of the really big, I don't know if it's still the mission statement of the UFL, but I would suspect it is since it's the same owners. But that was the big thing about the XFL when they did the command center and mic'd up the refs and everything, is that transparency and that really want to get everything correct. And I just think you have the idea that you have a challenge flag that you can challenge stuff that isn't called is such a great step in the right direction. But I think it just sucks because when you were explaining it that first week and you had to correct it the second week, I just
Yeah.
wish it worked the way you thought it worked. You know what I mean? It would have been so much better. Because yeah, if you call it, if you don't have a timeout, you can't use your flag because you don't have a timeout. So if you're wrong, you have nothing to pay. But if you make the call correctly, you get your challenge back because you made it correctly. You should be able to challenge everything in the whole fucking game as long as you keep getting it right. That's not your fault that the refs suck.
Right. You're making sure that the correct call is made. If you do it over and over again, why should you be penalized for that?
Fucking trash. Garbage trash.
But
sir.
because of that, it came down to a great finish. Battlehawks made a third down stop to force the attempted field goal late in the fourth, which the Renegades missed, and they were able to drive down the field and get that last second field goal for the win.
Well, and you know, that's one of the things about the UFL that the XFL had too, with the way that the scoring system works. It just like, I don't know, man, at the end of the game, it just feels way more like tension driven. You know what I mean? Like, no lead feels safe.
Oh, yeah. After one of the games we're going to discuss.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Never safe.
Never fucking safe. Moving along to our next game, we have, what do we have next? Stallions versus Panthers? Is that the next one on the docket? Yeah. Okay. This was a good game. Another one that came down to a bunch. This is the one where fucking Bates hit his 63-yard or 62-yard. Doesn't matter. Gets back-to-back 60-plus yards. First time ever in the UFL. Second time ever in history. Brent Maher. And again, it looked for this is one of my things to watch for next week, because if he does it next week, he's the first person in history to do it 3 weeks in a row. I think
awesome.
That being
he
said,
also had a 52-yarder in the game, which is not.
Yeah, you know what's so funny is this dude's hitting 63 like they're nothing. So when he hits a 50, people are like, yeah, whatever, it's not 60.
Yeah, well.
They also had they had fucking a bunch of stuff in here. This game I really enjoyed. I thought there was a lot of sloppy turnovers, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Birmingham had it was either Birmingham or Panthers. One of them had the fucking line play with the three backs in the backfield, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Like, this is what I'm watching the UFL for. I want more wishbones. I want wildcat. I want three back options like this. Give me the weird shit that I'm not allowed to see in the NFL because they're only running one formation. You know?
Yeah. The experimental stuff that no coach in the NFL feels their job is safe enough to try.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. I fucking liked it. I really enjoyed this game a lot more than I thought I would. And there is, if I did the over under, there's 0% chance Jake Bates is not in the NFL next year or before. And I said this to you week one, he might be in the NFL before the season's over, you know, and you're like, well, I don't know, you know, and I don't think so. I think they'll let him play out the season, but like, dude, he's going to be in the NFL. It's just happening.
Well, and there's also the possibility that somebody in the NFL signs him, but allows him to keep playing.
I would think that would be it, especially if it's Detroit. You know what I mean? Like, if Detroit does it, like, there's no way Detroit's taking him away from the other. Because, again, the NFL is actually weirdly more behind the UFL than they were the XFL or the USFL. Like, they understand the feeder league concept of this, you know? What were your thoughts on the game?
So, it was close. I mean, it ended it within 7 points. Just enough for the Stallions to clear the plus minus. But I think it was a lot more one-sided than it ended up looking. The Stallions pretty much dominated this game.
Yeah, I thought that the Panthers were only in it because the Stallions were playing pretty sloppy, and then when the Stallions actually like got it together, but it felt like the Stallions were beating them way more than the score indicated.
Right. So I was taking a look at the stats, and so there was the one big 76-yard touchdown pass. If you take that one play away, Michigan had 129 total yards for 6 points, and that was on the 52-yard and 62-yard field goals from Bates.
That's crazy.
The Stallions sat back and ran the ball. They had 161 yards rushing on 33 attempts, which is 32 yards more than Michigan had total without that one big play.
Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly it. And that's what makes a game so fun, is because it can just, it doesn't even matter. The points, just when they come so quick and so out of nowhere all the time, you know?
Oh yeah, and even as dominant as they were, the Panthers could have gotten one more of those late, and it would have been an entirely different game. We could have had 3 more possessions in the last minute of the game.
Unreal. And then also Sims was another one that Sims had a touchdown that was 76 yards. That is the longest in the UFL as of right now.
And I did love, while watching that play, they had EJ Perry, the quarterback for the Panthers, mic'd up, and as soon as he completed that pass, he's like, "They're not catching him. He's not getting caught."
Yeah. The other thing that's really interesting, and I didn't know this till I was looking at the stats. Do you know that the number 1 and 2 rushing leaders are both on the Stallions right now?
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. You have I'm gonna murder these names, but you have CJ Marable, and
Yep.
he's got 121 yards rushing right now, and then you have Adrian Martinez who has 117. The next guy is Mateo Durant from the Battlehawks, who's a monster at 104, and then Hills at 95. There's only 3 people so far in the league that are over 100 yards rushing right now, and 2 of them are on the Stallions.
I think their backup running back is close too, although his might be receiving yards.
Let me check I got it right here. Let me look at the receiving quick.
Ricky Person Jr.
Okay, he's not on these lists, but I think they have him by just the whatever. Actually, here I can go 25. What's his name? Oh, Ricky Person Jr. is 11 overall.
Yeah.
He has 45 yards rushing, but he also has 49 yards receiving. So yeah, he's right there as well. I'm just talking, when I'm talking Marable, and that's just their rushing yards though. Like what's crazy is like when you look at their fucking other side, I mean, it's fucking like it just keeps adding on there. It's unreal, you know, like because they have like what? Let me look at this real quick. Yeah, 49. So like they each have, one guy has 150 yards now, and the other guy. I mean, this is just crazy. These guys are nuts, dude. It's fun. It's a fun fucking league, you know? And for them to have that, you know, with Coral being, you know, top 7 of a fucking 10-man league, you know, that's fine, you know, or 10-man rotation, obviously 8-man league, but 10-man rotation of being track type shit, you know? So,
Yeah,
all right.
I mean, it may be that they've just had no trouble and been able to run like crazy, but nobody stopped them in the 2 games at least.
Okay, so next we're moving on to DC and Roughnecks. I found this game really immemorable, if I'm being honest. I thought it was a good game. I was more happy to see the Beer Snake, and I thought that it was just really good X's and O's football, but I didn't leave it with any memorable moments. You know what I mean? Like I watched it, but barely, you know?
Yeah, it was it was a close game because it was strength against strength and weakness against weakness.
Right. And neither of them
defenders
fucked up. It was just kind of a war of attrition, and one side just tipped the scales slightly and won, I felt like.
Yeah, and I think that one play was the strip on the long reception.
Yep. And that was like one of like 4 turnovers in the entire game. There wasn't a lot of turnovers in this game.
And then, I mean, the Roughnecks had a shot late, but just made terrible decisions, squandered the clock. And
dude, that coach is terrible. I think I told you this before. I think the Roughnecks are in trouble, man. That coach is trash.
I agree, but I think the defenders suck too. I think the Roughnecks defense is significantly better than they've shown. They were making stops. Corin Elder and Reuben Foster were both making plays all over the place. Like the defenders can move the ball. Te'amu is efficient.
I'm not worried about the defenders at all because their defense is going to come back around. I'm not worried about the defenders, but the Roughnecks, I'm worried about. I think that they could have won both of their games, but just fucked it up by really bad decisions, and that to me is a really big warning sign.
Yeah.
Because if your coaches are fucking, you know, like Arlington and defenders, like Arlington specifically, Arlington's 0-2, and I'm not really that worried about them. You know what I mean?
No. Their defense has not been great, but the offense with Perez can always make a comeback.
And they've played 2 really tough teams, you know?
Yeah. But I think we will be watching the competition for the suck-off between the Roughnecks and defenders for the rest of the year.
I think it'll be, yeah, that could be. I think the Panthers might not be as good as we think either, though. But I actually low-key think it's going to be Memphis. I think when it's all said and done at the end of the year, it's going to be Memphis and the Roughnecks. We're looking at like, these teams suck. But whatever. All right, so let's go on. Anything else you wanted to do about that game?
No.
Okay. Yeah, right? No, exactly, right? Like I have all these interesting, weird things that I noticed that I liked, and when I was sitting down trying to figure it out, I even went back and watched some highlights, and I'm like, these aren't even good highlights. Like even the highlights were kind of boring.
Yeah, I guess the only other thing worth mentioning is that Garantano went down, Reed Sinnett came in and actually had some success moving the ball, but otherwise nothing.
Okay. Now let's move on to the game that I'm probably the most excited to talk about.
Yeah.
Which is just because, like, god damn it. Could you get any more awesome shit just packed into such a small little vessel, right? I mean, it was fucking.
If you were trying to use the game as an advertisement for the UFL, they just got it. It should be.
Yeah, dude. Memphis and Brahmas was the funnest game, like, to watch as a fan of the entire fucking week. Even though, like, I love the Battlehawks, love watching my team win, but, like, dude, like, it starts out with that dude having the walkie-talkie meltdown Like,
Yep.
the coach is live. They can't hear the fucking mics. He's fucking flipping out, which is fucking hilarious. And then it moves on to a guy spray painting his cleats because he wore the wrong fucking cleats, which is fucking hilarious.
And then
you have-
immediately making a strip or a sack fumble.
Yeah, and then immediately, yeah, and I was just laughing. I'm like, well, of course he's doing that. Dude's high on fumes now. Like that's performance enhancing drugs right there, bro.
Woo!
Yeah, and then that fucking rookie that removed his helmet, like a fucking rookie move, you know? Like, I mean, it's just like, and then not to be outdone, we had the onside kick thing, which now all we're waiting for is an overtime thing. So we've seen all the stuff the UFL has now. We're just waiting on that overtime, you know? And then, of course, at the end, the coaches flipping out at each other. And honestly, like, this is why I'm starting to really come around to your perspective, the Brahmas as well, dude. Watching Wade Phillips just shrug as he knows the other guy's melting down is the funniest shit ever, dude. He's like, oh, yeah, what's he mad about? Oh, yeah?
You mad, bro?
Yeah, no, literally, he's like, you mad? And then, like, the other one is when that guy did that fucking penalty and walks off and he goes, you're hurting your team. You're not going to be a man about it? I'm like, God damn it, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a fantastic game, and the first 3 quarters of it, no, just the first half was really boring. First half,
That is
Showboat
so
just
that was
absolutely
last
dumb.
year with the Brahmas, and I feel like it's going to carry over to the Brahmas this year too. Where like the first half is always kind of boring with them, but then the second half, and it actually was an XFL thing, and I think it's because of the way the scoring goes, because you can score so many points. Like there's just not the same sense of urgency in the NFL because being down 18 points is not the thing it is in the NFL. I mean, 18 points is a 2-possession game.
not worth taking a bunch of risks. Yeah.
Right. Just keep playing your game, grind away, see what happens. It's not worth like reinventing everything for that, you know?
Yeah. Well, so first half, Showboats were just dominating. Max Roberts with 2 third-down sacks to stop drives, just dominated across the board. And then coming out in the third quarter, Brahmas went with more of a hurry-up offense.
Yeah,
we're throwing the ball a little more.
Yep.
And Garbers just went apeshit.
Just went fucking nuts.
Because he was over 200 yards, and I think he went over 200 yards in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Which most quarterbacks at this point are averaging around 200 yards in a game.
Yeah.
Just ballistic.
Unreal, right?
And I mean, yeah, I thought the game was over midway through the third. Like, Brahmas were starting to move the ball, but they didn't get any points on that first drive after the half. And then it was just over. The Showboats couldn't stop them at all. I think they settled for a field goal, but basically did nothing else for the entire second half.
It's like, it reminded me of like when people fight, like when somebody gets in a fight, right? And it's like, sometimes somebody just has to get cracked to really start fighting. You know what I mean? That's what the Brahmas, like, especially that Marquise Stevenson, like that dude. That dude fucking plays like whatever, like lollygag and doesn't really care. And then you just slap him in the face. And then every time he touches the ball, it's 13 yards.
Did we get a Wade Phillips in the locker room halftime speech?
I don't
want to go back and check.
I don't know if we did, but what I'll remember is him just trolling that other coach on the side and then telling that one guy, like, you're hurting your team. You don't want to be a man.
I'm going to have to go back and look.
Because those speeches are the best. I mean, I don't know, and these are what I like. Obviously, the games are great, and the games have to be good, right? But like the mic'd up shit with all the other people, like that's what I like the most about it. You know? It just
So the things that we're afforded because this isn't the super professional Goodell run NFL,
right? And I still love when they grab somebody from the game and interview them on the sideline, and eventually the person's like, "Can I go? I'm fucking working."
Was it this week where? No, I think it was week 1.
Last week with the coach, or no, it was week 1. Yeah, he's like, "I gotta go, coach."
And then I gotta go.
Yeah, fucking great. Like they just on the sideline, the approachability and all that. But I don't know. That's probably, like, overall, I think week 2 was a big success. I think it was a lot of fun. I thought all the games were great, which is what they need. You know, like they need that to be like that.
Because I mean, inevitably, you're gonna have fans who are just not even fans, maybe NFL fans, but just people who are sitting at home on a Saturday or Sunday, happen to turn on the TV. If they catch a close game in the third quarter, there's a good chance it's going to get hooks in them. They're going to watch. If it's an exciting finish, then there's a shot they're watching next week because this is actually good football.
Yes. Okay, so that does it for any other thoughts before we move on to week 3 stuff?
Nope, I think we covered our recaps.
Okay, so let's go into the betting shit. Let's do. Or do you want to do power rankings first? Let's do power rankings first.
Yep.
Let's do les power rankings. Okay, so last week. So I'll just go out and do mine, and you can like fucking. You know what? I gotta write these down. I didn't write down that or our picks. It's like I don't even know like what they were. You know what I mean? Like so I gotta like make sure I'm writing that down to keep us accountable. But I'm pretty sure I remember. I remember what some of them are. What?
The picks from last week.
Okay, cool.
I didn't keep the power rankings, but I've got the picks.
Okay, cool. That'll work. So this week. So what I'll do is I'll read the shit first, and I'll read it out. So this week they have the Stallions #1. And I don't think I agree with that. I think that the Brahmas might be #1, honestly.
Hey, I've got to stick with the Stallions. They're like
the
the reigning
win-loss
champion. They've been #1. They're top 3 in both offense and defense. Mind you, the Brahmas are dang close, but I think
right. But okay, but check this out. If we're gonna talk about the Stallions, right? So like what? They hit the Panthers, who like whatever, and week 1 they have Arlington, which we both believe is not going to be that good.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you know, the Brahmas, they played DC, that's a tougher team than you're giving them credit for. And then this week, yeah, fair. All right. And then, yeah, Showboats, I guess, is mid. So, yeah, all right, maybe. What's really interesting, though, is this week.
The Brahmas opponents have been better.
Yeah.
But not necessarily by a whole lot.
Well, we're going to find out a lot because they're going to be playing the Battlehawks this week. So, it'll be really interesting to watch. And also, like, the Stallions get the problem is with the Stallions is, like, they're playing the Showboats. Like, we're going to get into week 4, and I don't even know how good they are, you know? It's interesting. I mean, I get they're the reigning guys and all that shit. I get that. But I don't know. Yeah, I have them too. I have Brahmas 1.
I don't think we've had a true great test for them yet, but I can't knock them out of the top spot for winning.
Sure. And I can because I feel like they're not tested. And like, I just feel like the Brahmas, like the way the Brahmas like march around is cool. And then as a total homer, I'm going to put the Battlehawks too. I just think the Battlehawks are a better team. That's just total hometown cooking. I don't give a shit. I fully expect the Battlehawks to be the best team, and that's not just because cause the law. That's because I really believe it. I just think their defense is serviceable, and I just don't think anybody in this league can contain their offense.
Well, and they've been phenomenal in those not third down, but fourth down. I think they're close to 100% on fourth down conversions.
Oh, did you hear about the tarp thing too? Did I tell you about this? Oh, I didn't. I didn't tell you about this. Oh my God. So the Dome, which is the America Center in St. Louis, right?
Yeah.
A bunch of St. Louis fans put tarps over it. So there's a bunch of places where it just said the Battle Dome.
Excellent.
Fucking amazing. Love it. And then I do that. I probably put Defenders next. Maybe Panthers. Defenders and Panthers are very similar to me right now. I'm like mid. I don't really care, you know. Panthers, maybe actually, you know what? I'll move the Panthers up just because of Bates kicking. Because if you have a kicker that can hit a 60-yard consistently, that's an advantage.
Boy. And personally, I've got Showboats 4. Although I realize they're 25% in the red zone. That's why they lost this week.
Yeah, but they had that utter collapse against the Brahmas in week 2? I mean, like, I don't know. Like,
Right. They had
collapse.
4 field goals. If they got one score out of all of those opportunities, Brahmas wouldn't have made the comeback.
Maybe, or Brahmas would have just gone for 3 on the point conversion and still done the same thing. They utterly collapsed when it mattered.
They did. But I put them at 4.
Okay. So I have them at 6. Take your dealer's choice, 4 or 5. Mark these down, actually, so I have them.
I am.
Okay, good. I am, Mr. Fucking I told you so. Oh, no, you're fucking, yeah. Oh, you talking shit about the Showboats? Oh, yeah, I'm writing these down.
I'm collecting receipts. You're fucking right.
Fucking left on red, bitch. I got your receipts. And then the Showboats probably there. And then, you know, Arlington and the Roughnecks, take your pick for who's going to be bottom dwellers, right? Or you don't agree with that? You think the Renegades are better than that?
I honestly think the Renegades are better than both. I think the Roughnecks are better than the Defenders, but I've got the Roughnecks at the bottom spot in the power rankings because they've done nothing yet.
Okay. Well, then we'll move on to our picks from last week. You're just, you know what? This is your job. You're chronicling all this because I write it on a notepad and then I forget. I barely can be bothered to, the amount of time that I have in a week is spent with the attendance and fucking ratings numbers, you know?
See, the key is just to keep it in a notepad that you never close.
I do that, but then I fucking copy and paste over the intro news review format shit and lose it. And then if I undo that, I lose the other one because I'm an idiot.
That is why I lost the power rankings from last week.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, so picks for week 2. I went 2-2. You went 1-3.
Oof.
We both had the Showboats plus 2.5,
Yep.
which they covered. We both had the Battlehawks -5, which we failed. We both had the Defenders -5, which they failed. And then we split on the Stallions Panthers. You had Panthers plus 6.5. I had Stallions -6.5.
I just thought they would do better. That's all.
Well, I mean, Wes Hills had, what was it, 90 yards week
Dude,
one?
that Hill guy's so fucking
10
good. It's
yards
unreal.
this week.
Unreal how good that guy is. Okay. So, all right. Well, while we're doing this, let's just, so that brings our total to, I don't know. I went 2-2 week 1. So that's 3-5 gross.
Yep. So overall, I'm 4-4. You're 3-5. through
Okay.
2 weeks.
That's not the worst. All right. Still there to
It's
get.
a lot of question marks. I mean, week 1 was full on guesswork.
Yeah.
We're slowly getting an actual picture of how these teams are.
Yep. Okay. So what we have here is, let me grab this quick and grab the schedule and the lines, which I have over here. How did you do a draft team again this week? How'd your team do?
As far as fantasy,
Yeah.
so not great. I ended up 259 out of 475 in the contest I went with. The serious downfall for me were the running backs I picked, who both had good week 1s, but just did nothing. That was Anthony McFarland and Wayne Gallman. I don't know where Wayne Gallman went. He had like a carry this week, but actually, Mateo Durant had a phenomenal week. So
Oh,
it makes sense
that
why
guy's
they
the
made
truth.
decision.
Okay.
But yeah, overall, not great.
I'm going to try to get
But
in this week too so I can fucking compare with you. But yeah, I didn't get a chance to do it last week at all because the one that I did with you on that, like, whatever garbage one I didn't even go back to.
Yeah. Luckily, the 2 guys I called out as great picks for the value, David Davis and Marcel Aitman, both.
Aitman, dude, that's
crushed
a
it for the
great
week.
crush. That's a great prediction. Who are your people to watch
Yeah.
this week?
So for this week, I've got 5 guys that I tagged as the stats do not line up with the price.
Okay.
First up is Ricky Person Jr., running back, because he's only 6,100,
What team?
and he's on the Stallions,
Okay. Just let them know because these people might not know.
because he's averaging 15.1 fantasy points per week. He's doing it a little bit through the rush and a little bit through the pass, but he's got 2 scores and is continuing to see the ball. Marcel Aitman is still undervalued at 7,200. Marquez Stevenson, who we talked about earlier, has been doing phenomenal. He's undervalued at 7,100. David Davis, who's had 2 consistent weeks, is still undervalued at 7,000. And then Cody Latimer, tight end wide receiver, finally showed up this week.
Any relation to the other Latimer?
Who's the other Latimer?
The one from the NFL?
He was a receiver for the Broncos, but is
Oh,
now
so yeah, it's him. It is a relation.
Yeah.
It's him. Any relation? Yeah, he's related to himself, Corey. Oh, wow, that's pretty interesting.
Spider-Man meme.
Yeah, right. Pretty much. Okay. Anybody? That's it for value. Still got a few more.
Nope, those are the guys
Okay.
who are undervalued and you should have in your lineup.
All right. Sounds good. And then let's go into the picks against the spread. You notate this because you're going to be the I told you so guy on this shit.
All right.
All right. Let's just go down. Our first thing that we have here is DC Defenders at Arlington. And this the Defenders are getting -2. Renegades are +2. I'm gonna go Arlington just because again, home field advantage. Like I don't know what the precipice is of home field advantage in the UFL versus the NFL, but in the NFL it's 3 points, right? So anything around under 3 points is disrespectful, and I'll take them. But like, I don't know. I kind of think the Defenders might beat the fuck out of them, so I'm kind of scared. But I gotta trust the metrics, you know.
Yeah, well, and I think I pulled my numbers from DraftKings, but I've got DC +1 for the odds, but I was going to take Renegades -1.
Okay, well, let's just call it -1 then. We'll go off DraftKings. If you have the odds there, why don't we use the DraftKings ones? Because I'm just using the UFL's like betting affiliate thing, which might not be official odds.
All right. So yeah, let me just refresh to be sure. But yeah, Defenders +1, Renegades -1.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Renegades -1.
Yeah, I'm just taking home field's 3 points, man. You're not like, and again, I might at the end of this year, I might actually like figure out if it's different or whatever. But for right now, I can't do anything but trust the rules that I know to gamble,
Yep. And yeah, Renegades only getting 1. That's a pick.
Yeah. Who do we got next? Showboats Birmingham.
Yep. Stallions are getting +7.
This one's interesting. I mean, obviously the easy pick is the Stallions. The Showboats can put up points. I think I'm still going to go the Stallions, but I'm actually really wishy-washy about this pick. I think the Showboats are going to lose this game, but I think it might be closer than people think. But I'll go with the Stallions because 1 touchdown. Their offense has shown that they can show up and score touchdowns, so they've earned my trust for that. So we'll go ahead and roll it with the Stallions.
Yeah, I feel the same way. If you make that 6.5 points, I'm going Stallions.
Yeah, I think 6.5 is the number.
I'm going to have to go Showboats +7 because, I mean, if you get up a touchdown, just like they did last week, they're going to run the ball and burn the clock.
Right.
And play good defense. 7's tough. I
think 7 might. I think 7 might be tougher in the UFL. I'm just gonna trust that like the Showboats aren't as good as I think they aren't good, and the Stallions I don't know much about and think they are good. But again, like 6.5 is the number, and I feel like I'm taking the square end of this bet by going with the 7. But like with Birmingham, first game at home and everything, like I'm not gonna like split hairs over 5 or 0.5, you know.
Yeah.
But I do think you're absolutely right. I think 6.5 is the number.
Yeah, this one honestly could go either way, and I just hope it's that close, honestly, because I think the Stallions are a way better team.
There you go. Next up, we got Roughnecks, Michigan.
Yeah, another Michigan home game with 7,000 in the stadium. And DraftKings has Roughnecks +2, Panthers -2.
I'm going Panthers, man. One, your kicker can kick 60. There's no way they don't at least line him up for another 60+ kick to get that record. A. B, you're at home. It's under 3. And like, as I've been saying the whole time, I think the Roughnecks are absolute hot trash.
Man, we're split on another one. I'm going Roughnecks +2 here.
Okay.
I think, I hope this is the game where the Roughnecks show that their defense is incredible, and that's the reason that the Stallions beat up on the Panthers last week. But we shall see.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Again, for me, the number there is the 3. You know, like if it was 3, I'd probably go Roughnecks, but 2.5. And again, I the only thing I'm basing this off is NFL betting. You know, the 3 is what it is.
Yeah, home dogs.
Yep.
Yeah, gonna take the 3.
And then we have Battlehawks at the Brahmas.
Caw.
Cause the law, baby.
So yeah, St. Louis -1, Brahmas +1.
This is my lock of the week, dude. Battlehawks all day. I've been to 2 games. Like I've been to a Battlehawks game in San Antonio, and it was almost a home game for the Battlehawks, dude. Like the Battlehawks fans travel so well. 1 point is so disrespectful. The Brahmas are good, but I think we're looking at a really, really close game where it's a field goal. But I think 1 point, it's a coin flip game, and I think the Battlehawks pull it out. But I look for it to just be razor close. But I feel like at 1 point, I'm going Battlehawks.
Yeah, this could absolutely go either way. Both of these teams have proven they can go crazy late.
Yeah.
With AJ McCarrion intentionally.
Yeah, I got it. McCarrion, his team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can absolutely make a comeback drive. Garbers has proven he can do incredible things with 2 minutes left. I really hope this is a down to the wire exciting ass game, and I expect it to be.
I can't wait. I'm excited. And like I said, I might get out there because they're $15 tickets, dude.
Heck yeah, take some video.
Yeah, oh no, I will. If I go there, I'll probably live stream it or whatever. I mean, I went when they played last year. You know, I love my Battlehawks, Caw, you know, and this is like I actually do like the Brahmas a lot too. Like they're close, and I've been to their games, you know, and it's fun. But it's just I'm really excited for this game. I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen, but it's gonna be fun. And it really will be interesting to see what the ratings are. The big thing that I'm looking for though, like specifically, is I really am curious about that attendance on that Birmingham game week 3. Because the USFL has attendance problem, and if Birmingham can't draw, they've got a bigger problem than that.
Yeah, I mean, what? I think we're hoping for 15K plus, at least match.
I would say 10, like 10 or over at least. Like obviously 15 is like what they should be, but I'd say anything under 10 is a failure.
Yeah.
Like if they just hit 10, I mean, you know, not everybody's going to do 40, but like they have to be like, especially because their team's good, that market loves them. Like they have to be big dick in it. They just have to be.
Yeah, I mean, these are the fans that are given the opportunity to brag like crazy and cheer for a winning team. It absolutely should be up there as far as attendance numbers go.
Right. And another thing about them is they're another one of these places where they have upper row seating and shit that's $10. So it's not a paywall, you know?
Yeah. Ooh, I was just checking ahead in the schedule. The rematch of Brahmas Battlehawks is week 10.
Ooh, that game could mean a lot.
Yeah, looking forward to this week. Looking forward to that one too.
Yeah, it'll be fucking sweet. So, all right. Well, there you go. That's for week 3. That's what are you looking most for in week 3? What are you really excited for?
That game more than any.
Sure.
I'm also intrigued by the Showboat Stallions. And then I'm kind of hoping the Roughnecks do the Panthers dirty and prove that they're the worst team in the league.
You just want to do that. I'm told you. Dude, if they do that too, you'll have crushed me on the picks and be like, I fucking told you so. Who knows more about the UFL, bitch? Like,
well, I've been like, the games I've watched, the Roughnecks defense has looked awesome, but they've just crumbled and made terrible decisions.
They just wither. They just wither when they're supposed to be good, and their coaching staff is not making right decisions. I can't get behind that.
Yeah. Well, I want to see the defense just take over the game and not give the coaches any opportunity to fuck it up.
Of that, is there any NFL news you want to get to? Because we're kind of on the tail end now. I know we don't. If you're listening with this 4 Seasons football, we do this every week, but we do the UFL stuff now because it's in season. But we also cover some of the UFL stuff too sometimes, or the NFL stuff if it's relevant. I don't know that anything's relevant going on right now. It doesn't really matter.
No, there was the only tidbit was Josh Allen, the defensive player for the Jaguars, got a giant contract. That's really it.
And not the quarterback.
Not the quarterback.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, the quarterback, is not playing for Jacksonville.
Yeah. When he said that off air, I was like, what? He just nonchalantly, yeah, Josh Allen's on the phone. I'm like, what? And he's like, not the quarterback. Oh, okay. And so, yeah, if you want to get in touch with us, you have any questions or whatever, 4seasonsfootball@gmail.com. That gets you in touch with us. You can also download 4 Seasons Football anywhere you can get casts. I fully expect us to be on iTunes this week. I went through. It's just taking its sweet time updating as it does. Otherwise, we are on Spotify. We are on almost everywhere else. But if you have any other trouble, you can go to 4seasonsfootball.life to download them directly. You can also follow Force Football on Twitter. We post there quite a bit. Or you can go over to my account, Corey Adam Comedy, that reposted. You can right here on this YouTube channel. There's a lot of ways to ingest this. And I've been having a lot of fun. I'm actually been having a lot more fun on this podcast than I thought I would have, which is kind of fun, you know? But
between
good.
It's been a good season of football.
Yes.
In this 2-week-long UFL season.
Well, and it really has, you know, honestly, I'm a huge XFL mark, and I can honestly say that week 2 up to now, the UFL has been better football than the XFL. Like, it's just better product and like the buzz around it. And I think there's a lot more people rallying to it because we know there's only one fucking spring league, you know? Like you look at like last year, like how many people in Birmingham love the Stallions? Like, I'm not going to watch the XFL because I'm going to pay attention to the Stallions when they're around. You know, nobody can just pay attention to fucking every league ever, you know?
Even just the fact that there were 2 leagues is a deterrent.
Yes.
For somebody who's thinking like, oh, maybe I'll watch some spring football. Should I watch the USFL or the X? No, I don't know which is the good one. I don't care.
Well, I think too with the XFL, a big problem that they had was just there was a stigma to it because, you know, it used to be a wrestling themed thing, even though it wasn't the last 2 iterations, you know, but like people still remember that. Anytime I would tell people I was going to an XFL game, I get, oh, that wrestling shit. Like, you know what I mean? Which it hasn't been the last 2, but like, and that's like where UFL, you're like, oh, it's a new starter league. It's this and that. There's no stigma. There's no nothing. It's just football. And the games have been awesome. And the teams are good. Again, the only thing that worries me is that USFL attendance, but we'll see if that plays it out. Anything else you want to tell the people?
Nothing at all. Just enjoy some football this weekend.
All right. You guys enjoy football, and we will see you next week. Have a good one, and cause the law, baby. Caw-caw! Caw-caw!